Hello and a very warm welcome to ET Studios. I'm Himanshi Tiwari and we are at the ET Brand Equities MarTec Summit 2025. Now, customers today don't want to browse. They want to talk, whether it's asking a quick question, getting a product demo, or completing a payment. Now, the expectation is make it simple, make it interactive, and make it feel like a conversation. That's exactly what we are here to decode today, conversational experiences. With me, we are joined in by two people who live and breathe this space. All right, so with me are two people who live and breathe this space. Please join me in welcoming Shankar Iyer, who is the Director of Business Strategy at Infobip. Shankar, thank you so much for joining us for this
Welcome.
conversation. We're also joined in by Spandana Dhaduti, GTM RCS for Business at Google. Spandan, thank you so much for joining us as well.
My pleasure.
All right, so today we're going to talk about conversational experiences. We all listen a lot about conversational experiences, but from your lens, what does it actually mean on ground? And let me start with you, Spandan.
Sure. Thank you, Himanshi, for that question. See, conversations is basically two-way, right? A user is able to reach out to the business, a business also reaches out to the user, but the magic happens when the timing is right.
Yeah.
Like is it for most of the things in life. So I think a meaningful conversation at the right time with the relevant content for the right user, I think that's what defines as conversational messaging in our space.
All right, thank you so much. And Shankar, if you can come in, what does it mean for businesses today?
It means an acknowledgement from a consumer back to business, right? So conversations, like especially in India, it's not been too heavy in terms of conversation because it's largely broadcasting. But then when a conversation happens, a brand really understands how the consumers are acknowledging that brand on that platform. So I think definitely conversation plays a very important role for a business to see how their consumers are acknowledging them back.
All right, thank you so much. And now, now we have spoken about how conversational experiences are at the heart of any business. Let's also talk about how are they powered. And I'll move to you, Spandan. When we talk about conversational experiences, we also talk about RCS. So how RCS sort of enable these conversational experiences?
See, RCS was built or designed to be an upgrade to SMS. And I think today it has become so much more. It was built to be a dialogue, and hence the features that you see on RCS for Business actually talk to those use cases, right? Be it, say, for example, giving a simple location service, add to calendar, add to Google Wallet, web view. All of these features kind of enable that smoother journey. Now, if you were to have a text-to-text, that's also a conversation, yes. But what RCS exactly brings for brands enables them with these tools that they can basically leverage to make that journey much more intuitive, interactive, also very easier for the user to navigate and make sense, right? Rather than it being everything text-based. So today the way our attention span is so short, so the way you would want a turnaround from a business, if you want to transact or are interested, it needs to be faster, intuitive, quicker. And that's exactly what RCS brings to the table.
And also, how is it different from your traditional SMS and chatbots?
See, I think SMS and traditional way of communicating has always been text heavy. Right? And we have evolved the way you and I speak today to each other. It could be even through emojis, and we'll exactly know what we are talking about, right? I think that is where the kind of features that we have seen on RCS and the way actually brands have adopted. It's more that how they kind of use these features to build relevant use cases because they know their customer the best. They know what they will respond to. So even think of simple buttons, right? Like say, for example, there's a rich content and then you see explore more. Maybe that CTA button does not do a lot for you as a business, but let's scope it. For example, hey, do you want to, if we are talking about a beauty brand, Spandan pollution season is coming now in Gurgaon, would you want to explore our new anti-pollution skincare kit? So just scoping those conversations, I think that's also super important, with which again, like the features on RCS are solid to kind of get going on such use cases.
All right, and Shankar, if you can come into this conversation, when we talk about conversational experiences, you work with a lot of brands, with a lot of organizations. What are those hurdles that brands face while delivering these experiences? I mean, is it mindset, adoption, or what is it exactly?
Well, I think if you ask a brand, they definitely want to do a conversational experience. There's not a single brand who would say, you know what, I don't want to chat with my customers. I think there are multiple areas we should look at. One is obviously it's a mindset, definitely. You know, how do you want to approach your customers? And again, different industries have different strategies in place. So there are a lot of pull strategies, there are a lot of push strategies. So you know, if you look at it at a larger scale of marketing as such, there are brands who still do well without having a conversation, and they think that's probably the thing. But what is important to know is that as the times are changing, a lot of customers are preferring today a chat conversation than reaching out to a brand or walking into a store or even visiting a website or downloading an app. I mean, there's a serious amount of app fatigue, which we all know, and consumers are not going to download your app. So all those brands who are now thinking that, okay, you know what, we were very successful on a web or on a store, now it's time for an app. Think twice, you know, because 10 years down the line, you will not have a customer who's going to download your app and buy from you. So what's there? There is where the conversation lies, right? So that mindset shift has to definitely happen. Then there is definitely a pure technology play. It's not a pure ad and branding business. It's a MarTec business here, which means you need to have a serious amount of technology play, which some of the brands have really done well. They've brought the IT together. They've understood the data. There's a lot of data analysis. There's a lot of data tracking, monitoring. So there's a lot of customization built before even a message is sent to the end user, which means you know exactly whom are you going to send the message, how that user might respond. So you've built plan A, plan B, plan C. So you know that's some of the brands have already reached that stage in terms of that. And finally, like it's always the ROI game, right? The cost versus returns. Am I going to get better returns today if I start conversation, or I'll stick to my old traditional way of branding, advertising, getting impressions, getting users on my web page or my store, and I can grow my business. So it's always that chicken and egg story. What comes first? These are majorly three large hurdles which I see the
All
enterprises
right, you
go
spoke
through.
about ROI, and definitely there's no conversation, no boardroom conversation perhaps, where we do not talk about ROI, right? So when customers ask you, like, will these conversational experiences bring business outcomes for me? Will bring ROI for me? How do you answer that? Like, how the success in numbers look like?
I think there is enough proof of the pudding on the floor here. I mean, there are brands, as I said, who have already taken that move, are seeing that kind of ROIs. Now, these ROIs are not the ROIs which you say, okay, I do a campaign today and I see an ROI in 3 days, right? This is a journey which the brands have to take. Because every brand today has a cohort of users who are more savvy to conversational chat. Then there is a certain cohort of users who are still physical in nature, and so that's the mix of consumers in India today. Fair enough, but what will conversation bring is a long-term thing. Right, the engagements are far more stickier than what you do otherwise. And there is, I mean, we were talking about this to multiple brands today, and then we realized that there is a lot of trust factor which you bring in. It's not only about just trying to tell you that what you can buy from me, but then there is a lot of other things around the product which you are educating the consumer on. You're enabling them with information. You're always telling them that we are with you in case you need us, right? It's not about that instant purchase decision which you're expecting out of that conversation. So these are the areas where the brands can start getting ROI. And also, we do not have a measurement for the emotional quotient which you build with the consumers. How do you feel when you get a great message who's not telling you to buy anything, right? You always feel great because out of all the clutter, you got somebody saying, you know what, this is what we do. You know, I just want to tell you that, hey, you can reach us out if you need anything. Right? So that's a very different kind of experience you're building. And I think that's something which the brand should start measuring very soon.
All right. Well, you know, as a consumer, sign me in for a great conversational experiences,
Exactly.
and perhaps this is your ROI
Absolutely.
sitting here.
Absolutely.
Right. Well, Spandan, if we can come into this conversation, see, we have spoken about how is it working in India, but in globally, what are those trends that you are seeing in conversational experiences, and what can sort of India learn from those trends and leapfrog into?
A good question, but I have a better answer. It's actually India who is leading the chart for business messaging in general and conversational experiences specifically, right? I think India as a market is very mature thanks to the many apps that we have seen evolve and the kind of adoption that we have, where users and businesses alike have gotten or adopted business messaging so well that we see some solid use cases. We may have started with just awareness and brand discovery and product consideration, but today we are talking about in conversation purchase, we are talking about post purchase support, we are talking about retention and loyalty. Globally, I think we also have like solid, everybody loves a conversation, right? And at the end of the day, it's about building relationship. And to Shankar's point, you build a relationship when the conversation is much more, hey, I have this, do you want this? It's much more than that. So I think everybody, some of the large brands that we've seen globally do adopt conversational experiences. And of course, the kind of metric that you see is so different, whether it is brand recall or the kind of conversions that you generate. Like some of the solutions that Infobip has built, right, in few countries like France, Germany, and things like that. So, but India, I think, like definitely leading the chart, because we see across the entire customer funnel in terms of how, where, and when brands have adopted conversational experiences. It could be a simple festive greeting where I can just wish you and be done with it. But the moment I say, hey, Himanshi, you know, Diwali is coming up soon, what are your plans? Then we are into a conversation rather than just saying Happy Diwali. You see what I mean? So I think that brands are realizing and kind of taking that action. It's a great way to stay on top of mind for the user, but also a great way to build a relationship, because now you think of a brand just more than just a brand trying to sell you something.
Yeah, and perhaps conversational experience, this is why AI became so popular, right? On that note, to both of you, we are moving towards the end of the conversation. Now that we have spoken a lot about conversational experience, and definitely, clearly, they are the new storefronts, right? So what is that one big shift you see coming in the next 2-3 years? Maybe I'll start with you, Shankar.
So let me tell you this, we went to stores, some years back, and we said, and we got spoiled for choices, right? And then the best way to do things, even today we do that when we go to some restaurant, like, what do you suggest, right? And that's a very typical Indian consumer question.
Yeah.
Because we believe that the other person is the expert in telling us, right?
Yeah.
And if that turns true, you know that how much you become a brand loyal, right? Because because it's not you who you decided that we got the right thing. It's the brand who has told you that, hey, this is the right thing, right? And that's the human psychology. So what AI will do is exactly what we have experienced physically from a steward in a hotel, or probably a shop who's selling you clothes and he's recommending you, right? A salesperson on the other side of the counter. So the AI will start recommending you. So you don't have to go and decide out of 100 SKUs like what is the best fit or best choice of mine. So you're just going to ask a question like, this is Valentine's Day and I need to decide something to wear, and that's it. And then it will ask you, it will profile you, and it will start recommending you. I think that is what conversations will become, more or less. Because today conversation is all about showcasing things, asking more prototype questions. But that prototypes will go off completely, right? So you're going to just say what you feel like, what's your mood, what are you thinking, and that's it. From there onwards, it will take you to the destination where you actually want to be. Right? So that's the kind of experience AI will bring. A lot of recommendations, a lot of easy way of making decisions. So consumers, today the challenge is decision making, right? So conversation is a platform where you can come to find things. But I think as the users mature, they don't want to find things. They need to be told that this is what it is. And I think the job is done.
No, absolutely. I think the main difference that we are seeing between a good conversational brand and not so good one is that, hi Himanshi, do you need this? And hi Himanshi, I think you need this.
Absolutely.
Right? So that is where the difference lies. And Spandan, if you can come in and tell us the big shift that you are foreseeing.
I think both of the points Shankar mentioned, so I'll steal it with pride, or rather in the word of AI, I will adapt it with improvisation. I think it wouldn't be
more sophisticated.
So I think it wouldn't be a tech conversation if we didn't mention Gen AI to what you were alluding to as well. I think Gen AI has revolutionized the way we work and a lot of work areas, right? But I think this is one work area where there's massive opportunity in terms of how you can build and reach out to your users. Of course, hyper personalization is one thing, to your point, right? It's not even like, I think you need this, Himanshi, you know, like you are on due to for your travel next week. Here are the things we definitely think you need. So you also personalize what the user will pay for, right? That is one element that, of course, Gen AI can do very beautifully and curate it very well. And of course, that not only adds to the growth element of it, like more opportunity to interact with you, but also builds operational efficiency, because now you don't have to keep on building static agents that did a very scoped kind of work, right? Like very limited use case. So it will keep, like I said, adapting with improvisation. That's what Gen AI will do. So one is hyper personalization, but in addition to that, I think it allows for a business to change the approach based on the user. For example, I might be in mood A today. I might be in mood B tomorrow. Like, so I'm not the same user every day. My consumer behavior is going to change over time on a daily basis, even, or even time of the day. Because I'm a mom of 4-year-old, so naturally, like, mood swings are there, very much there. So I think the approach in which you reach out to the user, adapting and improvising in that time, and also finding those opportune moments of leverage where you perhaps can then upsell and cross-sell, making it a huge revenue driver. I think that's one shift that we are going to see, that huge adoption of Gen AI and in conversational experiences. The second, to which we were discussing, right? We are seeing an emergence of an appless app store. You're not going to have 50 apps. You're not going to have even 20. So I think, like, we are going to see a user inbox, and to which RCS for Business is so poised for, like, universal smartphone adoption. And we are seeing this as the single most, and the future of messaging is here, which is RCS. So we are going to see all of these businesses live in the user's inbox. And of course, one significant change in behavior that we see happening is user-initiated conversations are going to become more prominent, because eventually they're going to say that, listen, let me reach out to you when I am in a certain need, unless you don't have the intelligence for it as a brand. So I think 3 trends that...
All right, perfect. Thank you so much for summing it up so beautifully for us and our audiences. You know, what I've learned is that experiences now are not built on any app or websites. Perhaps they are built on conversations, right? And it is same for any relationship, be it customer, be it employer, be it any relationship, right? So thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. It was really insightful. And to our viewers, stay tuned for many more such exciting and insightful videos only at ET Studios.